You know that slightly annoying moment at the gate when the agent takes one look at your carry-on and tells you it has to be checked? Yeah, we've all been there, and it's not exactly fun, especially when you've got stuff in there that you actually need, like your laptop or medicine. But the good news is they can't take away your personal item, that smaller bag you keep with you. That little bag basically becomes your lifeline during the trip, because if you pack it right, you'll have everything you really need close at hand. So here are 10 things you should pack in your personal item bag so you can pretty much sit back, relax, and not stress too much about whatever the airline decides to do with the rest of your luggage. Meds first. This is one of those things you really can't mess around with, so it should always go straight into your personal bag. And I don't mean tossing a few random pills into a sandwich bag. Keep them in the original bottles or packaging, especially if you're traveling internationally, because security can be picky. A pharmacy label with your name on it is basically a free pass, while a handful of mystery pills can easily earn you a long and awkward chat with airport security. It's also smart to pack a couple of extra days' worth because flights get delayed, luggage goes missing, or you might just accidentally drop one on the floor, and there's no way you're picking it up in a crowded airport. To be extra safe, take clear photos of all your prescription labels with your phone. If you ever lose your meds, having those pictures makes it way easier to get a refill in another country than trying to mime blood pressure medicine to a confused pharmacist. Wallet capsule. Think of this as the little command center for your whole trip, not just a wallet. A slim pouch that zips up and clips inside your bag works best, because then you're not digging around for stuff every time you need it. Inside, keep your passport, your main ID, a couple of credit or debit cards, and some local cash, so you're not stuck if your card doesn't work right away. Print out your boarding passes too, because phones die, apps crash, and paper always works. One more thing most people forget: a spare house key. There's nothing worse than dragging yourself home after a long trip, only to realize your keys are in a checked bag that somehow ended up in another city. Keeping everything together in one pouch makes getting through checkpoints and boarding gates so much smoother, and honestly, it just makes you feel more on top of things. Let's call this next one the Tech Trinity. These days, there are 3 tech things you really don't want to travel without, and honestly, they're almost as important as your passport. First is your phone. That little thing is basically everything at once. It's your map, your camera, your translator, your way to call or text, and for a lot of flights, it's also your boarding pass. Then there's your main device for work or entertainment, which usually means a laptop if you're traveling for business, or a tablet if you just want something light for movies and games. Trust me, a tablet full of shows makes those long, boring layovers way less painful. And finally, the real MVP, a good power bank. Don't cheap out on this one. Get a big one with around 20,000 milliamp hours or more. That'll charge your phone several times, or even give your tablet a full recharge, which means you don't have to stock the one working outlet in the airport like a hawk. Keep it in an easy-to-grab pocket of your bag too, because the TSA doesn't let you check them, and security sometimes asks you to pull it out separately. Having all 3, phone, laptop, or tablet, and a solid power bank means even if your main bag disappears to some random city, you can still text your family, find your hotel, and finish whatever work you've been putting off. Tiny grab pouch. Think of this little setup as your personal comfort kit for the flight. It's just a small pouch with a handful of things you'll actually want within reach once you're stuck in that cramped airplane seat. The idea is simple. You don't want to be that person digging through their entire bag in the aisle every time they need something small. So, throw in your own earbuds or headphones because the ones the airline hands out are pretty much useless. Add lip balm, since plain air is weirdly dry, and will have you feeling like you've been stranded in the desert. A small pack of sanitizing wipes is a must for wiping down the tray table and armrests. Because, well, let's just say they don't always get the deepest clean between flights. Toss in some gum or mints to help with ear popping during takeoff and landing. And last but not least, a pen. Seriously, just one reliable, clickable pen makes you a hero when those customs forms get handed out, and everyone else is frantically begging the flight attendants for one. With these packed together, even something like a 3-hour delay on the tarmac feels a little more manageable. And while we're on the topic of comfort, let's talk about water. Collapsible bottle. One of the best travel hacks you can pick up is carrying a collapsible water bottle. Airport bottled water prices are ridiculous, and depending on those tiny plastic cups from the flight crew is a surefire way to end up dehydrated. A reusable, foldable bottle solves that problem. It barely takes up any space in your bag, you carry it through security empty, and then you just fill it up once you're past the checkpoint. Not only does it save you money and cut down on plastic waste, but having a good amount of water with you really makes a difference. It helps with the dry air, keeps headaches and fatigue at bay, and even makes jet lag easier to handle. Honestly, it's such a simple thing, but it can completely change how you feel when you land. Hug in fabric form. One thing nobody really warns you about until you've spent enough time on planes is how unpredictable the temperature can be. When you first board, it's usually warm and stuffy, but by the time you're cruising, it can feel like someone turned the cabin into a walk-in freezer. That's why it's smart to always pack a versatile extra layer, something that works in a bunch of different ways. A lightweight down jacket that folds up into a tiny pouch is perfect, or even better, a big scarf or pashmina. These aren't just for warmth either, they're multitaskers. A jacket can double as a pillow for your back, and a large scarf can easily be a blanket, a little privacy curtain if you're stuck in the middle seat, or even a makeshift hood if you want to block out some light and grab a nap. The trick is keeping it handy. Roll it up, clip it onto your bag with a carabiner, and then, once you're in your seat, just set it on top of your bag under the seat so you can grab it the second the air turns frosty. One clean outfit. Now, let's talk about the just-in-case outfit. This one's a lifesaver if your checked bag decides to go on its own adventure. You don't need to go overboard here. Just a fresh t-shirt, clean underwear, and a pair of socks. Roll them up tight, stick them in a slim packing cube, and you've basically bought yourself peace of mind. Picture this. You land in Portland ready to start your trip, but your suitcase is still hanging out in Atlanta. Everyone else from your flight is lined up at the lost luggage desk, looking tired and cranky, but you can head straight to your hotel, hop in the shower, and change into clothes that aren't stale from the plane. It doesn't sound like much, but that little refresh makes you feel human again. And trust me, when you're dealing with travel chaos, that kind of boost is gold. TSA Toiletry Kit. Even if most of your toiletries are hanging out in your checked bag, it's always a good idea to keep a tiny backup kit in your personal item. TSA has that 3-1-1 rule, which basically means any liquids or gels need to be in containers 3.4 ounces or less, and they all have to fit into one clear quart-sized zip bag. Within that limit, you only need the basics: a toothbrush, a small toothpaste, some face wipes, a travel-sized deodorant, and a little lotion for when the dry air starts to get to you. If you want to save space and make things even easier, solid toiletries like shampoo bars, conditioner bars, or even toothpaste tablets don't count toward the liquid allowance at all, which is pretty handy. Having this little kit means that no matter how long your day of travel drags on, you can land, freshen up quickly, and feel like a normal person again, whether it's before heading into a meeting or just before checking into your hotel. Hangry prevention. Travel has a way of testing your patience, And when your blood sugar dips, even the smallest hiccup can feel like a major meltdown waiting to happen. That's where having a couple of protein bars or a small bag of trail mix tucked in your bag can save the day. The free cookie the airline gives you? Cute, but it's not going to cut it if you're stuck on the runway for almost an hour. When the captain announces a short taxi that mysteriously drags on forever, you'll be the calm one, happily munching away, while everyone else is glaring at the beverage cart crawling down the aisle. It's such a small thing, but having your own snack stash really does keep your energy steady and your mood in check. Boredom buster. One thing you definitely shouldn't count on is the seatback entertainment system. More often than not, the screen is frozen, the touch controls barely work, or the movie selection looks like it was last updated a decade ago. It's way better to be in charge of your own entertainment. For some people, that means bringing a Kindle or e-reader loaded up with books, and for others, it's as simple as packing a paperback. I'd also throw in a small notebook and that pen you've already got in your grab pouch. It's nice for jotting down ideas, journaling, or even just sketching to pass the time. If you're traveling for work, make sure you download any presentations or files you'll need so you can access them offline. And if it's a vacation trip, go ahead and preload a couple of TV shows, movies, podcasts, or even that book you've been meaning to read. The mindset here is simple. Assume you won't have Wi-Fi and don't rely on the plane's screen, because if you plan ahead, you'll be way more comfortable than flipping through the airline's magazine for the 5th time. Now let's talk about your packing order. How you organize your personal item matters just as much as what you put in it. The trick is to set it up in layers, so you're not digging around and performing full-on yoga poses in your seat every time you need something. At the very bottom, stash the things you won't touch until after you land. Think of this as your arrival kit. This is where your spare outfit goes, rolled up in a little packing cube, along with your TSA-friendly toiletries. These are your backup plan if your checked bag goes missing, but since you don't need them mid-flight, they can stay tucked out of the way. The middle layer is for the stuff you might want, but don't need constantly. That's where you keep your power bank, your Kindle or book, and maybe your bag of snacks. They're easy enough to grab if you decide you want them, but they're not cluttering up the top of your bag. Finally, the very top is where your ready-to-go items live, the things you'll want right after takeoff. This is where you keep your rolled-up hoodie or scarf, your collapsible water bottle so you can fill it up before boarding, and your little comfort pouch with earbuds, lip balm, and wipes. The idea is that once the seatbelt sign goes off, you just unzip, pull out the few essentials, and you're set up before the drink cart even starts its slow crawl down the aisle. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your own never fly without it item in the comments below, the one thing you learned to pack the hard way. And if this video saved you from a future travel headache, do me a favor and hit that like button so the YouTube algorithm shows it to the next traveler in need. Thanks for watching.